So, to demystify VR simulations, we are going to present to you a VRARA member, Techno Trove, and we are going to present to you the Managing Director and CEO of Techno Trove, Shantanu Gupta. Shantanu is a lovely guy, somebody who from the age of 17 has been involved into all kinds of technology and business with his family business. Somewhere down the road, he felt the urge to start his own company and he started Technotrove in 2002, which is almost about 20 years back. So, where is Technotrove now? Well, they have completed more than 800 projects in 25 countries. That's a handful, I must say. And of course, they have been working in various industry sectors, including aviation, mining, automotives, and a headcount of more than 120 people. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Shantanu Gupta. Shantanu,
Thank you
what
very much.
what do you have to tell us about VR simulations? I want to hear your thoughts and I want to know more about VR simulations. So over to you.
Thank you so much, Pradeep, for the introduction. And you were very kind in talking about our organization and us. Uh, I hope I'm loud and clear, Pradeep.
Absolutely.
Okay. So today, can I start sharing my screen?
Please. Yes,
Okay.
we can see your screen now.
Perfect. So today we are going to talk about the how VR simulation per se has been a game changer for the industries and how Technotrove has been a part of the journey right from the year 2002 till today. Uh, so we all know how simulation and VR has been in the industry for our B2B customers. We know VR being used for entertainment, where kids have been playing games. We do a lot of sports on that, like playing FIFA of the world. We watch movies. So that has been on the entertainment front. People have used VR for marketing, and it has proved to be a very effective marketing tool. People have used it for architectural purpose, where you have been able to create the entire project for your client and give a demonstration of how your house or office is going to look in a virtual world even before it has started its construction phase. People have used it for retail application where visual merchandising, training on warehousing, you can even use you can even test drive your own vehicle in a virtual environment and decide if you want to buy a car or not. So these are few of the very interesting applications that has evolved over the years in the VR field for the B2B market. B2C market, sorry. B2B has been slightly very different. As we all see that the B2C has made a tremendous improvement in the past few years. B2B is not has not been left behind. B2B has seen a huge, humongous demand in terms of use of virtual reality and simulation for its for solving their problem. Their problems could be umpteen number of them. I'll speak about them in my future slides. Manufacturing has been using virtual reality simulation in different areas, like how to assemble a machine or a vehicle, how to operate them, how to maintain them. Medical industry is not behind at all. A medical industry has right from how to do the surgery, how to conduct the surgery, practicing surgeries. Medical for institutions and fraternity have been using it for how to treat patients, like people like in Parkinson. It's very effectively used to predict for predictive analytics and so on and so forth. Military is the oldest user of virtual reality and simulation in the world, and right from creating a virtual environment of a war environment, or combat training or mission planning. So it has been used in a way. Many applications have been involved. In fact, they are the most advanced in terms of simulation and virtual reality. Uh, Last but not the least, training and education has picked up. Training and education have realized that it is not possible to train people in the classroom anymore, or physically anymore. So they have all adopted to work in the virtual environment. And that has been a major game changer. How the effectiveness of training has evolved over the past few years is an interesting case study by itself. So why VR is the way to go, why VR is the preferred way. See, there are a lot of research and theories in the industry that has come out, with one of which is from the WHO, where they did about 72 experiments to show how effective is VR simulation training compared to the traditional method of training. There has been people who are from the industry has proved that 1 hour of simulation training is equal to about 3 hours of traditional training. So it cuts down your training time tremendously. It builds a huge level of confidence people, because people are practically experiencing the environment or these situations. Effectiveness, obviously, because of these things, have gone up tremendously. It has helped. So basically, what industry problems and challenges were, how to make training more and more effective and result oriented. This is what VR simulation has been able to do. It's scalable, it's portable, you can do it from anywhere and anyhow. So, coming to a specific level of challenges that our industry globally is seeing, is there is a huge shortage of manpower. You talk about any industry for that matter. It could be a driver, it could be a assembly line worker, or it could be the highest skilled pilot. So there is a shortage of manpower across. The effectiveness and the productivity is always is questionable. Are they effective enough? Are they efficient enough? You know, Use of actual environment or equipment for conducting the training, is it always available? No. Like how Priyanka just mentioned, it's raining in Bombay right now. You mentioned about Sydney being under lockdown. Can you conduct physical training going outside and in this kind of a situation? No, you cannot. So then how do you conduct your training even today? So these are few questions that the industry has to find answers to. There's a huge cost of training because of using the actual equipment or conducting them, making people travel pre-COVID. Obviously, the safety training is not at its best. There is a high unscheduled maintenance of the equipment because people are not trained to operate them. And obviously, COVID has been the cherry on the topping. It's put the entire ecosystem to a standstill, and people have not been traveling. People have not been meeting in a groups and so on and so forth. So now, with all of these challenges, I will get to the topic of what the technology has to offer. So there are two different, I want to clarify, is what is a simulator versus what is virtual reality. Simulators, as you can see on my slide on top, is a physical, we call it a digital technology, where there is a physical product designed like an aircraft simulator. We do it for different industries, wherein we give you the complete cockpit of the equipment or the or a plant, and you operate in that environment in using the virtual world. It gives you a complete 360-degree of view. We can add a motion platform to improve the level of realism, and these are fixed installation on a specific locations. Vis-a-vis a virtual reality, which is fully digital. You see at the bottom, you use your headgears, which all of us here knows about, and the added technologies associated. The field of view is 110 degrees. It's highly immersive, and they're portable. So there is a positives and limitations of both technology. But when you bring them together, it becomes highly effective. Where we are talking about is how we are talking about virtual reality simulation, which is a combination of simulators and virtual reality tools. Okay, I'm going to talk about a few industries today, bring in front of you a few industries and case studies where the technology has been applied. So the mining industry has used it for equipment maintenance and repair. They have used it for site familiarization because mine sites are extremely different compared to the environment that all of us are used to. Emergency preparedness, how to prepare people to handle situations, how to work in an environment where there's blasting, drilling constantly happening, and training people to work in that ecosystem. And last but not the least is the equipment operation by itself. Equipments here are extremely complex, large, as large as 20 cars put together or 20 trucks put together. So they are very, very large equipment. Operating them, you need highly skilled operators, which is again a scarcity. In the automotive sector, people have used simulation and virtual reality simulation for a very different research, manufacturing, electric vehicles repair, because that's the talk of the town. We all will see a transition into electric vehicles in the times to come. Testing vehicles and driving those vehicles. Aviation has been using virtual reality and simulation for a long, long time. They use it for MRO training, which is the aircraft maintenance, RAM safety, which is where the aircraft comes in and the safety awareness around that. Pushback of an aircraft, which is the most critical operation on ground onto the aircraft, pushing the aircraft and towing it. Marshalling of aircraft that we all have been used to in the ancient times. Today, marshalling has gone a little more outdated because of the ATVS systems coming up, but marshalling of the aircraft is also critical in the remote base. Inspection of aircraft, inspection, how to conduct the inspection when the aircraft comes in and goes out. Healthcare has been using it for different applications like surgery, nursing, ambulance, laparoscopy, rehab, and there's so umpteen number of applications. Few to them is as basic as plumbing, welding, working in a confined area, firefighting, working on heights. So there's a gamut, there's a world of applications that is ahead of us in this domain of B2B and industrial training using virtual reality simulation. I will now be presenting you a few case studies which is more focused on, the first one that I will talk about is aviation. Aviation, the case study talks about how training and assessments on critical operations has helped improve the overall safety in the sector. So the first case study will talk about that. My second case study is more focused. I tried to bring in a variety so that it does not look like it's tied to a specific application. The technology is not attached to a specific application, but it is very, very open. It is very, very, extendable to different applications. So my second application is, case study is automobile, where I'm talking about how the technology has the potential of being scalable and also bring in a standardized training solution. My third case study comes in from the mining industry, where we are talking about how we can improve productivity and reduce operation costs. That means we are contributing to the bottom line of the organization straight on. So if you see the range, we are talking about how to improve safety of critical operation. On critical operation, we're talking about how the scalability can be seen for a mass application. We're talking about how to improve the bottom line of the organization by improving the productivity and efficiency. So these are the three case studies I'll talk about. I'll jump on to the first one quickly. So my request, like already Priyanka has mentioned, any questions we will take up at the end of the session. Please make notes and feel free to ask as many as you want. The first case study is on the aviation sector, where we were talking about aircraft inspection, how to conduct the aircraft inspection when the aircraft lands on and is parked onto the bay while the passengers are being are moving out of the aircraft or boarding the aircraft. So aircraft inspection is the most critical is the inspection process or the procedure conducted onto the aircraft before and after it arrives. So it's most critical. It's a traditional training. We used to be, you have a person along with the expert moving around with the aircraft and trying to learn as the process has been done. So you cannot leave the confidence on the person, the second person to do the things right was very, very risky, and lots of it's a very dangerous in terms of an incidents to the aircraft while it's flying. So it's risk millions in dollars in life. The scarcity of trained technicians to do this particular process. There's a huge scarcity. There are not enough people who understand the whole inspection of an aircraft industry, the aviation industry is growing, and there are so many different types of aircrafts, and the turnaround time because of the cost reduction or the mass application. There's always quick turnaround. Every minute the aircraft is on ground, there's a revenue loss to the organization. So how to turn around the aircraft good. So there's so much of stress and pressure from the time the aircraft lands to the aircraft is ready to take off, and there's so many procedures happening at that point of time onto the aircraft, right from a person boarding the aircraft to the catering truck loading food, cargo being loaded, and fuel being filled, and all the other series of activity, and then conducting the inspection so that the aircraft is in a healthy state to fly again. So, and we have seen in the past couple of decades, we have seen a range of new aircrafts coming up, the Dreamliners and the 350s and the 380s of the world. There's so much of variety that is coming in. So it's becoming more and more difficult for the technicians to adopt. So the client that we are talking about was a ground handling company, a leading ground handling company and an MRO company in Asia. They required to develop a training system. They came up with a requirement to build a sustainable training system for training people on how to inspect and build their capability to conduct effective inspection on a variety of aircraft. So they came up with the expected outcome, how to improve efficiency, how to improve safety, and how to build capability of the people working in the ecosystem. So what did we come out with? We designed a solution where we recreated the complete airside, which is the airport, to make it look as realistic as possible in a virtual environment. We created a range of aircrafts exactly to scale with all the detailing onto the aircrafts to make sure that people who are undertaking the training do not feel that they are playing a video game or they are not in the realistic environment. We created it to the T, and to make sure that every part of the aircraft is mapped. We designed a series of inspection scenarios using this tool, and so that people can get trained on incidences. We can inject faults onto the aircraft. We can inject situations onto the aircraft, and is it few of them are repairable or can be could be corrected. Few cannot be. So identifying scenarios which many of the trained people will never even get to see in their lifetime. Creating all those scenarios and building a training tool, where people can be trained and assessed was what was the assignment we had got, and we had developed it. So we did pre-arrival, post-arrival, and pre-departure. Means before the aircraft arrives, checking on the bay if everything is okay for the aircraft to come in. Post-arrival, when the aircraft lands, check if everything was okay. And then pre-departure, again check before and see whether it's good to go. So we also made it a more interactive by adding multiplayer mode to it. We connected multiple team players onto the same environment, and we made them work as a team. Who's at fault, and identifying the weak point in the whole operations was what we did. So after the implementation of the project, the results that we achieved was we were able to reduce the training time and its cost by 50%, because we don't need to take people on the airside anymore and use the actual aircraft for training. We were able to improve the ability to identify faults and take the corrective course of action, because people were trained rigorously on identifying faults and what could have gone wrong, what is wrong, what is not wrong. We were able to train people in groups so that they were more harmonized as a group to work in the ecosystem, and they were not blaming each other for the faults. Thus, the overall improved safety, and the client actually won an award, a golden award, in their whole group companies and the industry, where they were able to show the effectiveness of how immersive training can help and improve safety. So I'm going to now quickly show you a video of, give me a second, a quick video. I will not really take you through the whole one. So this is a live recorded video of the session. So this is how you set the mode, whether you want to do training, you want to do assessments, you select the scenarios, you select the type of aircraft, you select the environment, you want to do it in a sunny day or a night or a rain. You decide the number of faults you want to inject, and you select all the faults. So we have created a tool where insert all the faults onto the aircraft, and now you are in the environment. So you pinpoint on every, you do a 360-degree check. So when you do a 360-degree check, you have to identify each fault, and then what is it good safe to fly? The next step of course of action. So this video obviously is available on YouTube for you guys to all to see it. I think the link of the video will be shared on the chat. So it's about identifying the fault and then deciding the next course of action. This can be done for any kind of machine. This is just the example of an aircraft. And then you get a report at the end of the session, how did you perform? And you all can see the video on the on the YouTube, and because we have limited time today, so I'm just going to jump into the next part of my presentation. Sorry. So my next, so I think after the first case study, we have been able to identify the effectiveness of VR simulation in a specific industry for a specific application of how to improve the overall on critical training on critical operations effectiveness. So next case study is talking about automobile. Like I said, here we are working with a very large OEM. And this industry is driver training is a highly unorganized sector, where people from Bombay will totally agree how driver training is done in the city or in the country as a whole. There are highest number of road accidents in this country. There's a need for professionalism in the way driver training systems are working, and there has been a huge number of steps already taken by the industry and by a government in improving the overall situation. And leading automobile manufacturer took the lead in organizing the unorganized. This was done at the time when the whole industry was a pretty unorganized bit. So what they decided to open a chain of driving schools now, using technology, using simulation, and train novices. So now these were absolute novices who are coming to this. So the idea was how to make it scalable and affordable in multiple languages, and create a training and an assessment tool. So since these were all youngsters or people who are novices coming in, so there were good chances that the technology will be they're more proactive to accept the technology. So what we did was we created a simulation. It was tailor-made for Indian environment. The idea was to deliver it across the country and make a standardized curriculum in multiple languages. So what we did was we built a simulator as per the OEM. We implemented it, and we have across the country. We created a step-by-step training program on that, and the program was launched in 7 different languages. So with this, the trainer intervention was completely removed or minimized. So they didn't need any more trained instructors or trainers to depend on to deliver their training. So it's all use of technology. So when you walk into the training center, it's completely simulated. The results that we got out of that was that this was the largest chain of driving schools probably anywhere in the world. We did about 492. We have done so far centers in 238 different countries and we have also been certifying trainers who could, who are, skilled enough to train on using technology. Over 1.5 million people have been trained so far, and the OEM, got a huge, recognition from the industry and people. and it also helped them regain the market share, basically. So idea of this was to show you how a technology can be scaled and made affordable and scaled and reach the masses and used for applications which bring in direct impact improvement to the industry as a whole. Again, I will show you a quick video on this. I've kept them very, very short. So here again, we create the candidate registration form to register every student who comes on the training center. We configure and decide what vehicle type you want to drive. What different models of vehicles were configured, different like automatic manual modes were configured. Routes, so you could decide which route you want the driver. So if you're working in a hilly environment, you have a hilly environment driver. In northeast of India or north of India. Then you have south of India where different environment, coastal areas, regions. So what we did, we combined again physical simulator and in a virtual environment. So with this, what we call it, that's what we call the merging of the two technologies in making it more and more impactful. So these are basic exercise: how to move off your car, how to stop your vehicle, how to use your steering, and so on and so forth. And gives you a very detailed analytics, and until you master it, it does not let you move to the next one. So we have also, injected typical road situation that we have in our different countries around the world, and try to train people to anticipate an hazard. Entire module was designed to give you the real life experience of what actually happens when you're driving. Right from learning controls and learning how to use them, and a detailed report as you can see is generated after the completion of the session. It tells you your use of all the features of the vehicle. Yeah, so this is what was done for this particular OEM, and they were, like I said, they were able to scale it up to magnitude which could have never been thought before. So yeah, moving to the next is a case study from the mining industry, where we again here the background of mining operations is that there are a lot of large equipment used for conducting the operation in the mine site. And these are very difficult working condition, extremely difficult working condition, and it requires highly skilled manpower. So now these manpower who can operate the big machines are an absolute scarcity around the world, not just in India, but this is a global problem. Now, and the machines are getting smarter and smarter day by day. So learning how to use them was a challenge. And these machines are fuel guzzlers. So they take in a lot of fuel. There's a huge maintenance if they're not handled correctly, and obviously lack of manpower. So these three things together and actually accounts for 50% of the total mining operation on ground. And the idea is how the efficiency and the productivity is a major factor in defining the profitability of the operation for the mine site. So with this, the client came up with certain challenges to us, saying that, okay, I have a problem with the rising fuel cost. How do I balance my operational cost with the rising fuel cost? So then they came. The problem identified was, okay, there was a training the operator to optimize the fuel performance, how to build efficiency around that, develop skills and knowledge, and reduce on-site emission per ton, and gain carbon credits. The second problem they came up with unscheduled maintenance, because these simple tire wear and tear can cost them thousands and thousands of dollars. How do you improve that? How do you train people that, okay, to avoid unscheduled maintenance? It was by train, then we came up with a lot of factors, and then a solution was designed. I'll talk about that in a bit. And then how do you improve the overall productivity? By making them familiarized to the new the environment, and how to operate the machines more effectively, and the cycle time. So with this, the solution that we designed was to design a VR simulation solution, like the one which you see on top left, where people could get trained. Now, the solution involved multiple things, where we designed the custom mine site, we replicated the entire mine environment, which you see on the top right, and with that, people were able to operate in the environment that they actually belong to. We created portable simulators, which was with obviously virtual reality, VR head-mounted display, and we created a pre-test for defining the benchmark where the operator stands today, and a detailed course curriculum was evolved based on these parameters. And the training was designed in a way it was so focused on identifying the inefficiencies and training them on those inefficiencies, rather than training them on the entire gamut of training programs. If the person knows what to do, in terms of rules and regulations and safety, you don't need to train them on that. You need to train them on skills that they don't have. So it's very focused training was designed, and with simulation, virtual reality simulation, we were able to achieve that. And the outcome was that for the new recruits, we did machine familiarization, site familiarization, operational technique were optimized, and for the experienced operators, we were able to improve the cycle time in the industry, which really helps in building efficiency. Safety was improved. Fuel cost was able to be. I mean, we were able to optimize that, and the unscheduled maintenance and downtime went down by 16%. By 16% of reduction was a huge reduction for the industry and for the client by itself. Sorry. So with this, I will. This is the last demo that I have for you. I will just run a video quickly. Same way, every candidate was registered, and the reports were stored for the lifetime. So every time they came back, we were able to revive where they left last and skills that they lacked. So series of programs were created on VR. So we'll show you only one or two of them just to give you a glimpse of how it works. So the joysticks that you just saw were simulated joysticks developed, designed by us, and they interact in a virtual environment. This is a fully VR simulation that we created. So there is no need for joysticks here. So there are two versions of the product, with controls and without the controls. So every time the operator has to do something, the instructions will pop up while he's in training, and when he's in assessment, it won't. So we also capture here the effectiveness, the efficiency of bucket fill. Again, if you fill the bucket 50%, the fuel cost is still the same. So there is operational inefficiency. If you fill it to optimum, there is you build in operational efficiency. So these were basics that we evolved the solutions around, and we were able to train people on how efficiencies can be built. Very simple tools, but highly effective. Lifting different types of material. So one was soil, now second is boulders, and loading onto the truck. So now typically in this environment, what happens is you have to fill the truck, as depending on the capacity of the vehicle truck, in let's say 10 cycles, for example. So if you don't do it in 10, the 11th one is a loss to the organization. So how to complete your operations in the defined time. Here, the person is learning how to cross the trench using the equipment. There has been several incidences where the equipment actually fell into the trench. So building capability of the operators to learn. This is just one of the example on how to do the operations was where machine maintenance time was reduced, and unscheduled maintenance was reduced, and people would could do it more effectively. So he crossed half the trench. He turned again 180 degrees. He's going to push himself behind using the bucket. And now he has crossed the trench. So these are simple exercises that were designed. Many of these were designed, obviously, and operators are now trained on VR simulation to learn this and and be more effective. So these are few of the videos that are there, and the report is generated. Like here, the reports are very different. Here we calculation operational time. What time did you start? Time taken to complete the session. Time taken to complete the operation. Your bucket fill percentage. Tilt angle. So there are a lot of physics involved in this designing this particular kind of a module, which was used, and the effectiveness was measured and generated. The report was generated at the end of each session. So with this, referring to this report, people were able, or the managers were able to diagnose the genuine problems of the operator, and then train them effectively, and or replace them, or upskill them, or whatever need to be done. They were able to do it, and and efficiency were built around that. So just to summarize from, thanks for listening to me, guys. And just to summarize, what we want to pitch in here is we want to tell you that VR simulation has an immense potential in, testing the decision-making ability of people, making them work under stressful conditions, and training them on practical situations, or situations which you really cannot create in real life. Practically you cannot create the situations in real life. You cannot put a plant on fire, or you cannot put a brake failure on a vehicle. Simple things like these, which you cannot really ever do. You can do it in simulation-based training. So that's what we are trying to do here, and build overall reactive capability of the people to anticipate a hazard, anticipate a situation, and handle those situations more in a more calm and peaceful manner, and improve the overall safety per se. So that's all I have, and I'll just quickly jump on to. I think Pradeep has done most of the talking about the organization. I did have this slide. So we are in this business since 2002, and we have our own in-house development center and simulation software development center and electronic development center. And we are 100% made in India company, even before the made in India concept came in. We have done a lot of work around the world. And like Pradeep already said, we are 120 people. We have done over 800 projects in different industries. always been B2B, and and yeah, so and we are 24 plus, we 26 actually for exact countries today that our simulation technology is being used. So we help set up complete L&D for our clients, and that's where we come in. So thank you very much for listening to me, and now I think Priyanka and Pradeep, you most I'm done from my side. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask.
Thank you very much, Shantanu. I enjoyed the session, and I particularly liked how you described three different industries and use cases. What was interesting to me was the driving one. So, how has the driving project taken off? Where is it? What is the status? How many states have really implemented this? How many driving stations have been implemented? What kind of number of people have gone through this? Any? Could you give us some idea about that?
So with the OEM, we are working across India, and we are working in obviously in the other countries where they are specifically more referring to neighboring countries around India. So in India, right from Jammu and Kashmir to the bottom of India, Kanyakumari, we have simulators. We have simulators in Port Blair as well, in the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. We have in the whole of Northeast is using our product. So they have so what we have done is it's not a part of in the country; it's the whole of the country. Every dealer who's selling cars is also training people on how to drive effectively. So that was the challenge that the management took up, and then they've been effectively using it. In terms of number of people, uh, we have over 1.5 million people have used this technology for training in these training centers. Yeah.
Excellent. So, a question which comes to my mind is that are you a simulations company or are you a VR simulations company? What is your DNA?
So we are, see, we work in the simulation domain, but we use different tools and technologies like virtual VR, VR, AR, MR, and full scale and simulators. So we offer a combination of all depending on the need of the client. So VR obviously is the most progressing, latest generation, technology which is moving in the simulation domain. So yeah, that's what we are and that's what we do.
Okay. Now, Surya from the audience is asking a question. He says, have you worked on any full bodysuit use case?
We are working on application for one of the research institution right now on the full bodysuit, using the full bodysuits.
Okay. Now, uh, see, your focus, both from the company perspective as well as from the presentation perspective, has been on training.
Yes.
What about other use cases for VR simulation?
Uh, okay. Yeah, the reason why I did speak about primarily training because I could cover a range of applications around in that and show the effectiveness of the technology. But apart from that, we're doing a lot of research projects using VR simulation for research. Very highly reputed research institutions around the world are working with us and implementing and we are designing solutions for them. We are now moving into mainstream operations in a plant or an industry and connecting training to real life operations again. So where we are trying to again build operational efficiency, not training alone, but also connecting it to day-to-day operations. These are few areas where we are focusing on at this point.
Okay, so we've got another question coming in from Vivek. Which software are you using to develop VR simulators?
Okay, so we are using a combination of software. We are using Unreal, we are using Unity. These are predominantly two major softwares application that we use.
Now, another one coming up from Abraham. He says, how is the accuracy of the simulated movements as compared to the actual, which means the real world?
It's highly effective, highly efficient, accurate because we certify ourselves with the OEMs. OEMs are certifying it. If the OEMs are certifying it, they are extremely picky about the accuracy because it's their machine. and their vehicle. What we do is we actually take in the CAD drawings and we take in the data from the OE at many times. And so with these CADs, and the precision levels are matched to the T as much as possible in the simulation domain.
Okay, so there's another one. We looked at on one dimension what are the use cases apart from training. Now let's make a deeper dive into training. Now, training can have a number of scenarios. You can have onboarding, you can have soft skill training, you can have vocational training. Which type of training is most useful from a VR simulation perspective?
See, the most effective is where critical applications are covered, where things which you can never create or give them an exposure in real life. This is where the technology really kicks in, and there's no comparison to what this can do. Apart from that, obviously, wherever people are looking at standardization and scalability, the technology plays an immense role there. We all need to accept that there are not enough people, good trained people available in the industry, not just in India. Again, I'm repeating that because we all believe India is like that, but that's not true. There's a world global problem. There are not enough. The people who are seasoned are retiring or they're aging. The newer generations are not enough. I'm not saying they're not good enough. They're not enough to cover the volume of people that we are having. So technology has to be coming in. Digitalization has to come in, and simulation is the best tool that is available to do that.
So another question coming up from Chris, and this is related to one of the earlier questions that I asked you. He says that have you moved across from training to operations in aviation?
Yes. We have. We have already done in 2019 a project on the operations side. But thereafter, obviously, things have gone slow in 2020 and 2021, considering the aviation challenges today. But yes, we have done it. We have a very good relation. We have very good contracts and projects in hand already on the operations front. Yeah.
Another one coming up from Akshay, and he says that are there any use cases which are being used overseas but have still not been used in India?
Use cases used overseas? Yeah, actually, yeah, there are many, because if you look at the applications per se, there are so many applications. See, in the West, people or internationally, people are we have done a lot of technology implementation which has still not been done in India. So there is obviously they are way ahead of us. So if you look at the global simulation market, Pradeep, you're the best person to agree with me in this, because you know the world simulation industry. India or the Asia Pacific region is still coping up with the West, with the North American countries. And Europe. So there is a lot of technology which is being used there, and use cases being designed and developed there, which is still not come to India. So India has a huge potential. Like example, I'll give you a very simple example: pushback of an aircraft. People in different parts of the world have been using the pushback simulation technology as a training tool for more than a decade now. But if you talk about India, no, nobody talks about it, right? And there's so many more applications, like on the safety front, on the operational efficiency front. There are very few people who are talking about it, but it's changing very fast. Every day, I think there is a change, and we will get there in the times to come.
Absolutely right. And if I may add, so you see, when we look at any application of immersive technologies, there's a four-dimensional model that can be easily applied. And the model consists of one end looking at the industry, and another end looking at the function. Yet another dimension is looking at the level of technology, which is right from 360 on to metaverse, and finally the geography. And why geography? Purely because the environment may be operating in a certain technological manner. And that's why there will be differences in terms of how technology is being applied across in different parts of the world.
Right.
Now, coming back to another question, which is from uh, Lovely. So many questions coming up.
There are
Uh,
several questions.
yes, there is Vinay. He wants to know, are there any internship opportunities with the company?
Yes, of course. Of course, we're more than happy to get as many people to come and collaborate with us and work in our ecosystem.
So, guys, feel free to send in your profiles. Um, and yet another question from Mayur. And Mayur is asking, what about latency?
Uh, Latency, yes. I mean,
Is that an issue at the moment? Do you see 5G having a big impact on that?
absolutely, absolutely. There is a lot of issues compare in that. 5G will play an extremely critical role because most of the parts of the country, at least in India or in many in the Asia Pacific region, there is a huge issue with availability of good internet facilities. So 5G, I will be a major game changer. I mean, there is no doubts on that. And good headset, lightweight headsets would be the two of them, according to me.
Okay, the next question, which is coming up from Vivek, which VR headset you recommend as a developer?
See, it's I like both actually, HTC and Oculus both actually. We are doing so many applications, both of them. Oculus obviously is more today more relatively more acceptable, but I'm also looking up to the Geo, and see Tesseract what Tesseract comes out with in the times to come. So yeah, I mean, so at the moment, if you ask me personally, Oculus is I think doing a good job.
Another question from Natrajan. Do you see a need for persistent virtual environment in B2B? And any examples?
Yes, obviously, persistent virtual environment is extremely important uh, in the manufacturing sector, where uh, considering the assembly line and the fault findings and those applications, yeah, it is extremely important. Yeah. Maintenance, actually, if you look at shop floor safety, operations, yeah.
If you were to step back for a moment, what do you see as the opportunities and challenges? Opportunities are obviously immense, just like the
Yes.
example of the driving case that you gave. But I think, what about the challenges?
Acceptability. Acceptability as a tool to train is a huge challenge in our country because opportunities, sky is the limit. I mean, there is so much of application that can be designed, that can be, in the technology. But yeah, acceptability, companies have to join hands together and say, okay, we will transform the way digital training is done today, and we want result oriented applications to be designed. And uh, and how do we, because the challenge that I see is that the experienced lot is fading away, and the newer generation is more hands-on with technology. Uh, and the best way to train the new generation is adopting technologies and the using the know-how from the aging generation. They have immense experience. They have immense experience. They must have experienced most of the series of cases in their lifetime. But how that translates to building the foundation for the next generation, who are going to be highly tech savvy, is something that we all need to look at, and that's where I see a huge challenge of at the B2B level, where acceptability of technology is it has to kick in. It's kicking in right now only because of the limitation due to COVID. But I think it's like making them taste the waters. I think once we do that, they will start understanding the magnitude of effectiveness that can this process can build in, come in with, and that's where I see a change. It is like you rightly said, a year or two from now, uh, will be a game changer.
So we are now 60 minutes into the session and absolutely on time. So with that, a big thank you to you, Shantanu, And a big thank you to everyone, and a big thank you to Priyanka. I was particularly, really liked the way people interacted and the questions that they were asking. Folks, this is what it is about. It is about engagement. You know, please join us for future sessions and interact with us. This is a huge community that we are building, and we will come back to you with another thought-taking sessions. So back to you, Priyanka, and it is
Thank you
a
so
lovely
much.
session, and thank you for organizing this.
Thank you so much, Pradeep. Thank you so much, Shantanu. So, on behalf of JioTesseract and VRARA Mumbai Chapter, I extend heartfelt thanks and gratitude to our audience and to both of you for gracing this session with insightful details and information. I'm sure our audience have enjoyed it, and we could see it from the interaction and engagement that we could capture. So I would like to thank Technotrove System and the people who have been supporting us to make this session wonderful. I would like to just highlight that we are going to bring many such interesting sessions under the Mumbai chapter members meet and greet series. So please stay tuned, and we are trying to put our best efforts and foot forward to democratize mixed reality. So be part of this revolution that we are trying to bring. And once again, thank you very much, and we hope to see you again. And we can, if there are any questions which have been left, please feel free to write it in the chat. I could leave the chat box open for some time. We can route it to Shantanu, and maybe we can respond you back with those answers. And just sign up to our social media channels to stay updated with the latest trends and events that we're going to be planning up. And thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. I would like to conclude the
Thank you,
session.
Priyanka. Thank you, Pradeep.
Take care.
All
Bye.
right.
Much.
Bye.
Bye.